I just want to lay it all out in one video. So, my road to IVF. November is when I'm looking for having my egg retrieval. Welcome back. Let's get those babies, ladies.
I see the crystal raindrops fall and the beauty.
Hi Fertility fam, how are you? Welcome back. I'm Tanika. Thanks for clicking on Simply Tanika. If you're new here, welcome. Let me know what's going on with you, where you are in your journey to bring home your baby. If you are returning, welcome back. So I wanted to talk to you guys today about my road to IVF because I believe that's where I'm headed. I want to talk about where it began, where I think it will end, and kind of some of the logistics around it, because a couple of you have reached out to me with questions about my insurance and why I only want to do one, so I just want to lay it all out in one video. So, my road to IVF. First of all, my journey to conceive all started last year when I had a miscarriage in April. I went to my first reproductive endocrinologist in May, and that doctor, and I'll put a video here, was not going to entertain having or providing IVF services for me with my own eggs. And so that was kind of a deal breaker for me. That was a deal breaker for her. So, you know, we moved on. I went to my second RE this year in 2018 in April. April is when I first started going to the new RE. And we discussed IVF. She was open to it. I was 46 at the time. It was just before my 47th birthday. I subsequently turned 47, and the week after I turned 47, I started a new cycle. I called, and the doctor kind of backed off of the IVF with my own eggs, and she wanted to clarify that it would not increase my odds. Like, I wouldn't have a greater percentage of success with IVF with my own eggs versus IUI. So she counseled me that she suggested we try a few rounds of IUI first. So far we've done two IUIs with fresh donor sperm, and I had 4 IUIs at my old clinic. I'm not going to count those for a number of reasons. If you've clicked on the link that I referenced earlier, they just weren't done. The timing, they weren't optimized. I'll just say that and I'll move on. So I'm going to say I've only had like 2 legitimate IUIs. I have a meeting with the doctor. It's scheduled for August 20th to discuss my next steps. At that point, we will be discussing if it's right for me to move forward with IVF, when it's right for me to move forward with IVF. I had met with her in June, and we kind of went over the protocol of it. You know, logistically, like what it would be, what it would entail. That we would have ICSI, which is when they take one individual sperm and fertilize the egg, or they implant it into the egg in an attempt to fertilize it. It's not a guarantee of fertilization. So we kind of talked about that and then left it at that. I was in the middle of a cycle, so we weren't sure if that one was going to be successful or not, and obviously it wasn't. That's why I'm here now talking about my road to IVF. And so the next meeting is August 20th, which by the time you guys see this video, it will have already happened. But as I'm recording it, that meeting hasn't happened yet. So what I want to get out of that meeting is, if I can move forward with IVF with my own eggs, I would like to have at least 1 more IUI so that I get 3 with the fresh sperm. I would like to know exactly what the protocol is that she has for me so that I can talk to a nephrologist and figure out what are the risks for me having 1 kidney, what are the impacts of the medication, kind of get a sense of all of that, what the timing would be like how much time am I going to have off of work, all of the ins and outs, you know, both medically, lifestyle wise, everything that kind of goes into that, with an eye toward having the IVF, egg retrieval portion of the IVF in November, for a number of reasons. Just having the IUI, having the month off that the doctor has recommended before, so that's what we discussed when I met in June. I would have to have 1 month unmedicated. I would have to have a saline cytohistogram before she would consider me fully eligible for IVF. So this is kind of like, we're talking hypothetically, right? Because we don't even know if all those things are going to pass, but let's just assume, for the sake of positivity, that they are going to pass. That my salines on Instagram will be fine, there will be no polyps, that the nephrologist will say there are no contraindications for taking any of this medication with only one kidney, and that the doctor is agreeable to me having IVF with my own eggs. So all those things, check, check, check. We're moving forward. We have a green light. November is when I'm looking for having my egg retrieval. I only plan to do the egg retrieval once, maybe twice, and so that's what I want to talk to you guys about, because I got a lot of feedback, like have at least 3. However, I would be paying out of pocket for my IVF, and here's where I want to talk about it, because I think people get confused with insurance and medicine. And so the insurance that I have through my employer, and it's the same, the fertility benefits are not based on one specific insurance provider, because some of us, we do, like we have different providers that we can select from, like ours, oh god, it's Blue Cross, it's United Health, I think there's one more. So our fertility benefits all come through United Health, UMR, irrespective of what our main plan is. And you have to have a separate plan for fertility, separate qualifications. So you don't go in there and just use your regular insurance card. So that's first and foremost. You have to be entered into the program. You have to select one reproductive endocrinologist who is within what they call a center of excellence, a COE. So they give you a list of, and I'm in New York City, they give me a list of who are the people that are in the program who are considered part of a center of excellence in New York City. I do my due diligence, and then I call them up and I say, I want to go to this doctor. They then prepare all the paperwork. They give me a card from UMR with that clinic on it. I can only go to that clinic. The medication is handled separately, so we have separate, separate prescription insurance. So having nothing to do with the UMR insurance, right? Ours is provided through CVS Caremark. They flip a little switch or click a little box and say, this person is approved for fertility treatments through the company. Once that box flips, then CVS Caremark is now authorized to provide fertility medication to me. And obviously I have to pay my copay. So some of the things I only can get through the Caremark pharmacy, like the Avidro. The other things I can go to my regular pharmacy, Z Chemist, and pick up like the Femera. I also get my prenatal through Z Chemist, which is $25 copay with a coupon. Without a coupon, copay is $80. Crazy, but that's what it is. So all of my medication is under coverage for my fertility benefits through CVS Caremark. Whether or not I go to CVS, I don't have to. It's the coverage, right? The payment portion of it that's covered through CVS. Whether that's IUI, whether that's timed intercourse medicated cycle, whether that's IVF, all of that, the medication is covered. Completely separate from the regular benefits. The way the insurance is set up for the fertility benefits, the main part of the fertility benefits, I am not eligible for a fully paid IUI because of my age. The insurance guidelines are after 35, they do not recommend an IUI. They will not pay for it after. So I pay out of pocket for that. Where I am now, I pay $660 out of pocket just for the IUI. So all the medication is covered. All of the screenings are covered. So ultrasound, blood work, all of that is covered. So there's nothing out of pocket there. I pay the $660. That includes the sperm washing and the actual injecting of the sperm within me. And there's a breakdown on it. I have a video where I went through the breakdown, the cost of it. So I'll put that here if you haven't seen it or if you're new. So that's kind of that with the IUI. Then we go on to IVF, which is where I'm on the road to. IVF, again, has to be with the Center of Excellence. It is covered up until the age of 50 through this insurance. The caveat is, it is only covered up until age 44 with your own eggs. After 44, so 45 through 50, they will pay for 100% your IVF with donor eggs. They will pay for the cryopreservation of your embryos for 1 year with donor eggs. The whole process, if you're under 44 and you use your own eggs, they will also pay for 1 year of cryopreservation storage. They will keep your babies on ice for a year at no cost to you. That's all covered through the plan. That's kind of it. There are no two ways about it. So I'm looking at, if I do IVF, about $15,000 out of pocket per complete cycle. So including egg retrieval and transplant. That's what I'm calling IVF. If I have to do multiple egg retrievals, then I would just pay that portion of it. And then if I have to do multiple transfers, I pay that portion of it. If there is a transfer or a retrieval and a transfer, that's one full IVF cycle. I'm only looking to do one full IVF cycle because I am paying for it out of pocket. Now, am I open to doing 2 retrievals? Yes. Sort of. The medicine scares me, I'm not gonna lie. So it will depend on what the nephrologist says. But I'm open to it at this point based on everything that I know. I could get more information where I am, you know, a little hesitant about it. I'm not looking forward to injecting myself. I don't believe it's healthy. From the beginning, I wanted to go as natural as possible, given my circumstances as a single person. So I'm not looking forward to the IVF, but if that is, you know, the last effort before I call it off, then that's what it is. I've said from the beginning, I want to look back without regrets. Will I regret it more if I try or if I don't try? And so right now the answer is if I don't try, I will regret it more. I don't want to be in this situation where I'm like, oh, I'll regret it. I've regretted trying. And I think if I financially bankrupt myself, that's where I will be. Yeah, I mean, I'm a long way from bankruptcy, but my point is I don't want to keep gambling with it. I know the odds are not in my favor. I've been told I had a 1% chance. So how much money am I willing to invest? How much am I willing to invest emotionally and with work? Like, there's just a lot at stake, right? Like, I'm trying to like not take on more responsibility because I want to be pregnant, and so there's like a fine line of sacrifices that I'm making as a whole in order to pursue this. I don't have the luxury of saying once the baby's born I'm going to stay home for 3 years and raise the baby. Like, I still have to take care of it as a single mother. I am very blessed that my company will pay my full salary for 6 months on maternity leave, and my job will be protected. And then I have the option to extend it beyond that with vacation and reduced pay, but the job is not protected, which is the most important thing. So I've got to think about the big picture of not just getting the baby, but being able to provide a good life for the baby. So that means having a healthcare provider come to the home and take care of the child, being able to afford to send the child to school, both primary and university. Like, all of those things have to be accounted for. And so I don't want to diminish my future child's quality of life out of a selfishness just to have a child. And so I've got to make sure all my ducks are in a row. So that's kind of like my hesitation. Although I know a couple of you guys have said your specific chances are increased based on what your blood levels are, and what your clinic has said their stat rates are, success rates are, that 3 is the lucky number, and that by 3, your chances of, but 3 IVFs, your chances of taking home a baby are 85%, which is amazing. I've not been given any information that the second or the third time of IVF will increase my chances. So I think I have to weigh that in as well as I think about like how much more am I willing to invest. So far I've been at it. I've done 7 cycles. So I've had a total of 6 IUI. I had 4 with donor frozen sperm, and then I've had the last 2 at the new clinic with fresh donor sperm, and then I had the 1 home insemination back in October when I started my channel. So I've had a total of 7 inseminations, home and IUI together. And so it's been 7 cycles. After the 6 cycles, when I was technically considered infertile, before we're going through this because I'm single, not necessarily because I had a fertility issue. I have to weigh all of that out. And when you start out, you're very hopeful. You don't think it's going to take that long. And then here I am this many months later. It's more than 7 months because I had to take 1 off when my FSH was high. And then I took 2 off and transferred into the clinic. So it's more than 7 months in total, but it's 7 active cycles that I've been trying to conceive. And I'm headed into my 8th, God willing. I'm very blessed to have been able to afford this journey so far. But I also have to figure out like what the breaking point is, and as of now I don't have a dollar amount. I put a time on it just because, again, I'm putting my life on hold as far as my career and other things that are going on, relationships. So that was the bigger thing for me, was the time and energy. now it's time to look at the financial costs as well, the financial impact. I try not to make a lot of decisions solely based on money, just because I don't think that's helpful. Personally, if you do, no judgment. But it has to be a factor, right? It can't be the sole factor, but I have to eventually factor it in, just because eventually I'm going to run out of money if I don't assess like how much I've spent and how much more I'm willing to spend, and what I'm willing to not spend money on so that I can spend it there. I don't have an infinite supply of money, although I would like to, but that's not how it works. And so, yeah, that's kind of like my road to IVF. Hopefully that explains like the situation with the insurance, because some of you guys are like, why don't you go to this city and why don't you go to that city? My insurance doesn't provide it. Once I go out of network, I'm 100% self-pay for medication, for everything, for fertility. Once I leave a center of excellence that is designated by my insurance company, I am no longer covered for anything. They're not going to cover a fertility aspirin if such thing exists. I'm out of network, 100% out of pocket. So that's just not an option for me. So yeah, I would love, to go to Mexico or go wherever else, or go to Spain, or whoever else has like guaranteed success rates of women of my age. I'm just not willing to pay for it 100% out of pocket. Like, to me, that doesn't make sense. And then take time off work. Some people had suggested like taking an IVF vacation this year. I knew my sister was getting married. I have only 4 weeks of vacation, plus some other days like sick days, floating holidays, regular holidays, but like core vacation, I have 4 weeks, and so I knew I couldn't take 2 just to do IVF, because I was going to be going back and forth to California. And then I work a very stressful job. I need time to myself. Like, it can't be all about fertility, and then my time off is now 100% fertility because I'm on an IVF vacation. It's just not what I can do. And I'm single. Like, if I had a partner who was in it to win it with me and like going this extra mile and going to the treatments with me and like, oh, I'll go away for 2 weeks with you, or I'll help you with your shots, like, that's a different setup. I don't have that, and so I don't want to be stuck in a hotel room by myself for 2 weeks going through IVF and stressing out and bugging out is what I would be doing. So yeah, I have never on this journey felt like I would do anything to have a baby. I will do things within reason, with things that I'm comfortable with, which I hopefully, I hope everyone else is taking that into consideration as well. Like, I don't think any of us want, at the end of this day, at the end of it all, to like have a baby and be angry at all the things that we did to get a baby, or be homeless and broke and carless and jobless. Like, I can imagine a scenario where that makes sense. I'm not judging anyone if that's your reality. For me, I can't. I am older, I'm comfortable, and I want to stay comfortable. So if that makes me a bad person, or not want the baby bad enough, if that's your conclusion, so be it. I think we all have to do what's right for us, though. I think we all have to do what's right for us. I know we all want our babies. I know our babies are waiting for us. I feel it. I think each of us feels it, and that's why we keep going, honestly. I feel like there are, like, deep down somewhere we feel it. There's something in our body that tells us it's going to happen, and so I think we have to push for that. And I think that also supports, like, don't be desperate. If you know it, what is destined is destined. What is meant to be will be. So I don't think we have to make moves out of desperation. I don't want to make moves out of desperation. I don't want to feel desperate to have a baby. I feel like hopeful. I'm willing to push the limits. I feel like my baby is waiting, and that I will have it in my tummy soon. So yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. So I'll let you guys know how it goes when I meet with the RE on the 20th, and what she says and what the next steps are. Again, I want to do one more IUI. We'll see what she says. It's obviously cheaper for me to do one more IUI than it is to do IVF. And if the rates are the same. And then my donor is currently not working, so it's easier to kind of go and give a sample, but then he could get a job, and I don't know how that's going to work with IVF, so I think I have to understand the logistics as far as, like, will he be able to have time off? Luckily, it's fairly early in the morning, but we'll see. We'll see. And Genesis was asking me today about, will you do fresh or frozen? So far, the doctors recommended that fresh is the best, like, it lives longer. Usually they'll do frozen as a backup if a man has a sperm count issue, but we're not working with that. So I will ask about that as well, though, just because of the timing issue. It might make sense to have something there in frozen. I'm sure there's an additional cost for me to pay for it to be cryo preserved. I know at the old clinic they would save it for like 3 months without a fee, and then before, but I've not discussed it with this clinic, and so I have to figure that out. But yeah, that's kind of what's going on. My road to IVF, God willing, deemed necessary. So we'll see. If you guys have any further questions about it, please let me know down below. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. If you're not following me on social media, I'm over on Instagram at simply.tanika. And if you are not on, like if you don't have a TTC Instagram, I highly recommend you get one. Just put in the hashtag TTC, which is trying to conceive. You'll find a bunch of supportive TTC sisters. It's the best thing. Honestly, I get a quick fix from there. Look at it. Hey, what's going on? You see people getting BFPs or letting you know about their follicle count. It's just a community who kind of gets it. Whereas when we're talking to our friends and family, they may not, or they may ask a question that makes us like cringe. It doesn't happen over on Instagram in the TTC world. So please follow me on Instagram at simply.tanika and let me know you came from YouTube. I will definitely follow you back, and we can keep in touch that way as well. And it's more up to date as far as like what's going on. Like when I go to the doctor's office, I'll take a picture, I'll post it, I'll have little comments, so then you don't have to wait a week to see it here on YouTube. I mean, there'll be more explanation when you see it on YouTube, but it kind of gives you like, if you're wondering like, hey, I wonder how her doctor's appointment went, if you head over to Instagram, you'll know. Let me know down below where you are in your journey, how I can help support you, and any other questions you have about me and my journey. Thank you so much for watching and for sharing in my journey. I appreciate you. I wish you well. And as always, I am sending you loads of baby dust. Bye. Baby dust to you all.
I see the crystal raindrops fall, and the beauty of it all is when the sun comes shining through to make those rainbows in my mind when I think of you sometime, and I want to spend some time with you.